these people took my kids from me, then they closed my bank account. I got so much anger in me, got no way to take it out. Think I'm stuck in the matrix. It's my nitrate that I'm posting on Twitter. They telling me, hey, don't say that. Can't see me in public, I'm driving the Encore Maybach. With all of the money and fame, I still can't get my kids back. With all of the money and fame, I still don't get to see my children. See my Twitter, but they don't see how they feeling. So I became a yeah, bitch, I'm the feeling.
Hello, Peter. We're not joining your team.
I'm putting together a team.
We're in.
Good. Let's shake hands like tough guys. Some of your sweat went in my mouth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all having a wonderful night tonight. I do have to apologize for being a whopping 2 minutes late because right before the stream, I was contacted by a couple very talented gentlemen about them recreating some of the theories in my P320 video, and they managed to get a P320 to go off live for everyone to see. They managed to recreate the issue that people said was unrecreatable. The SIGAs were out there defending the P320, saying it's not real. It's the holster's fault. It's a mental disorder, whatever they might say, a figment of your imagination. However, today, it literally did ND or UD on camera for all of us to watch in 4K. So, before we get into that, Richard, how's your night going?
It just got significantly more interesting.
Yeah, this was literally 30 minutes before the stream. I have like 12 other things to talk about. I'm getting everything else set up to go. And I just received a message from a very kind individual from LFD. Let me make sure I'm getting the name correctly because I have the video actually right here. Yes, LFD Research. It is a 25-minute video on the P320, utilizing some of the information that was provided in my P320 video. Wait, did you actually mean significantly as a pun? Because if you did, that's funny. I didn't catch it.
Maybe.
Okay, because the chat's saying it now. That is funny. But there's an excellent 25-minute video. I am going to pin this in the chat. I already shared it on my YouTube community tab. Yeah, so it's shared around. It's going to Instagram. It's going to everywhere. Let me go ahead and post that in the chat, and it will be pinned there for the rest of the time that we're talking about it. So you guys can go take a look at it if chat would stop moving. There we go. All right. Hey, GB Guns is here. Glad to see you, sir. Let's see who else we got. Shadow Force Tactical Cheems. Great name. Leighton Gay is acceptable for Siga Hate. True. But yeah, before we don't really have much else to get into. I mean, we have 12 other things to talk about. So are you up for a 4-hour stream tonight?
Let's roll. I got mine right here ready. Let me get it and let's do it.
All right. Let's get it rolling on It NDs Today from LFD Research. This was posted just a couple hours ago. They just sent it to me. Protraband's on here. I'm on here. It's getting shared around. And yeah, so the idea that the P320 can't be fired without a trigger pull, well, let's just see.
Premature discharge, not to be trusted. That fire on the drop. Voluntary upgrade, no problem. No problems here. Lawsuits, they disappear. Yeah, 680. Yeah.
Fantastic choice. Whoever made it, whatever AI program they did to use it, or if it was a real song, fantastic choice. Great editing. Just show their own statements on the P320 and see if that conflicts with reality.
Shady baby, 680, host the discharge. He not to be trusted. Lawsuits be flying, sin lawyers be denying. No problems here. Deny, deflect, disrespect. No problems here. No problems here. Blame the host, blame the user. Anyone but us. Anyone but us. Yeah, 680. Yeah.
This is a
So if you didn't catch that, that is the sear dropping on the P320 with just a little bit of slide movement because of a combination of bad parts. And we'll get into the reason for that.
This is a SIG holster, sold by SIG, Legion marked. On the back, it says Black Point Sig Sauer 320 X Carry Legion. Outside the waistband, right hand. This was sold on the SIG web store. To start off,
Again, fantastic job by LFD Research doing it in a SIG holster after SIG blames the holster. The intro song, fantastic. And they go through the testing of a lot of different P320s. One of the things that people absolutely love about P320s is their favorite buzzword, modularity. You can use FCU and put it in a bunch of different guns, Richard. But did you know that putting the wrong FCU in the wrong gun could cause some complications?
And I bet that that's probably going to be compounded if some of the parts are mislabeled.
Or misassembled from the factory, or again, these guns have been out since 2014. So, sell it used. Somebody puts the wrong FCU in their wrong 320. It gets sold to somebody else. And yeah, we'll get into it.
SIG 320 line is absolutely amazing. As of this point, they have sold over 3 million pistols, according to them, and all of them can be interchanged. That's both a blessing and a curse, and the cause of what we find here today. But again, you can take a 2025 gun, mix and match parts with a gun from 2014, and it still works together. And 99 out of 100 times, it will be 100% safe. Actually, more than that.
Damn it. Oh, that is a missed opportunity. They should have had DJ Shipley edited in right after he got it to go off in a holster. That would have been a good addition. I'll probably have to throw that in there if I do a clip of this.
What we found here is kind of a 1 in a million, but there's 3 million of them out there. So there's at least 3 of them that's happened to. The stats might be a bit higher. The issue we found is just one possible issue. We will also be showing you at the end how to check to see if this mechanically is wrong in your gun, so you can know whether or not this is safe. And that is the number one issue I have with SIG, is that they have not actually told people what to check for to make sure everything is working safely. Now you can see here, we have a non-updated gun. This does not fix the trigger drop issue. No voluntary upgrade done to the 2014 or 16 model.
Now, important to remember, I have the exact same unupgraded model here, and I have one of the new, or I shouldn't say new, but one of the improper takedown safeties for the wrong caliber, so I can induce this issue here as well, which should be quite fun.
Models. Then we have a 2017, which came from the factory with the voluntary upgrade performed to it. You also have a couple of 2022 models. And remember, all of these are perfectly interchangeable. But that's also where the problem comes in. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, or you bought a used gun and somebody else made a mistake, you can end up with a 10 mil or 45 fire control unit in a 9mm pistol, creating a dangerous chain of events. Over the last decade, there have been a lot of changes to the 320 from the initial design that came.
So this is another huge problem that I have a great distaste for Sig Sauer for doing.
Over the last decade,
is that there are so many stealth changes to the P320 that any individual pistol that you buy, you're not really sure what exactly is done to the inside. So for instance, you can see on the 2014 Striker assembly, we have a MIM'd Striker safety. This is a MIM'd part. Now, one thing that I will have to push back against myself and fact check my own source on this is that she person said it backwards it was originally designed to be MIMmed and then got changed to stamped to save time or money. So it was actually backwards. The original ones were MIMmed and now they're stamped. So that part of my video, that's backwards. That got flipped. Whether that's a communication error, a misspeak, something, that's incorrect. Everything else in the video is, for the most part, correct, as we'll get into.
Decade, there have been a lot of changes to the 320 from the initial design that came out in 2014 through 2025.
And again, you can see just a couple years later, we have an entirely different striker safety. This one here is the stamped version. The earlier ones were MIMmed.
Now you will see here the striker assembly has changed somewhat, at least in terms of construction and how the parts are made. But here's a major change. Between 2014 and 2016, there was added a takedown lock to make it easier to reassemble the pistol. This transfer safety bar.
So again, another thing where just the pistols that they were able to pull together from their own personal collection, like almost every model year, there's just little updates here and there to make it easier to reassemble, which we'll get into later on in this video, exacerbates the issue of if a FCU from one gun gets put into another, which is supposed to be a feature of the P320. That's like a selling point.
Here to reassemble the pistol. This transfer safety bar is key to a lot of the safety design behind the 320. Number one, it makes sure the takedown lever is fully installed so the fire control unit is secured inside the frame and also in a locked position. Otherwise, this will prevent a magazine from being loaded into the frame. It also pulls the sear down out of engagement with the striker. That is so you are able to take down the gun without having to pull the trigger. A majority of striker fire guns, you have to pull the trigger to remove the slide from the assembly. This removes that. But it's also a mag block. And again, the original 320s, whenever the takedown lever was removed, so when this was pulled out, this lever, the takedown safety, would go back forward immediately, but it made it harder to reassemble the gun. So again, this takedown lock was installed. All of this is very pertinent to what's going wrong. Now we can see the difference between the locked and unlocked positions, and here you can see how to unlock it and turn the gun to a safe, normal operating position.
Watching this sear right there.
And as we do the disassembly, look how far it goes. It basically drops fully out of view. Since this is an original 320, it will automatically pop back up into the...
So if you're not familiar with the 320, a big design goal, I guess you could say, is that you don't have to pull the trigger to get it to disassemble, right? Like you do on a Glock or a lot of these other guns. If you pull it back too far, you have to use the trigger to get the slide to go forward and get off the gun, right? However, in SIG's genius, they decided, well, what if we have a lever that pulls the striker out of the way? Or the sear out of the way, right? Now,
What could go wrong with that?
well, your mic's cutting out. But what could go wrong is perhaps there's a combination of parts and frames that doesn't allow that sear to go back up and make contact with the striker. Oops. So because SIG owners are not smart enough to clear their chamber before they disassemble, this entire design process or design goal, I guess you could say, leads to the guns allegedly, or not even alleged. I don't even need to see allegedly, okay? Like they're going to show it in the video multiple times, doubles, singles, all sorts of fun stuff. The gun will go off on its own if there is a special combination of parts. And again, remember, there's 3.5 million of these things running around. There's so many different frames and FCUs, and you can put, they're supposed to be modular. That's a selling point. However, if you exploit that modularity, eventually you're going to get well, technically probably an LE contract, yeah. But I think that their 250 had it before, if I remember correctly, and then they just ported that feature over to the 320, but my timing might be off on that. But it is possible. I know that that was a selling point for not only civilians, but for military contracts as well, for sure.
The engagement line.
Okay. Here's that sear again.
And then we're going to operate. We're going to just drop it down. Now it drops pretty far. But when you undo that, so we come back over here, flip it back forward, it stays in that lowered position until you pop it up. All right, quick recap on the 320 safety. Number one, takedown lever. You're never allowed to actually take down the gun because the takedown safety bar prevents you from moving it with a magazine in the gun. Now that that's out, you can perfectly well do that. Now, you can also not reinsert a magazine in the takedown position. And even if you return to the takedown position, from the takedown position to a proper reassembled, you still cannot reinsert a magazine until you lift up on the slide stop. That is how the 320 is supposed to function. And again, when it is in the takedown position, this sear is lowered, so it should never engage the striker over here on the slide.
And again, that is how it is supposed to be. That is the correct model with a 9mm/40/357 SIG takedown safety inside of that FCU, inside of that grip module. That is how it's supposed to be done. And it won't engage unless you lift up on the slide release.
Now we're going to demonstrate the same exact thing over here on the 10mm. Again, you cannot actually take it down with the magazine in the, remove the magazine, rotate the slide. You cannot reinsert the magazine from the takedown position. From the takedown position, you do have the sear lowered so it is not to engage with the striker on the slide ever. Again, unless you pop up on this, you cannot reinsert the mag. Once you have gone up on the slide stop, you can reinsert the mag. That should render the gun perfectly safe. Now, as you may remember from before, the 9mm and 10mm fire control units look almost identical. Now, if you have the 9mm improperly...
And so that's a big problem with the modularity of it, is you have these different parts that interact with the guns just different enough to cause a problem. And they're basically identical. And especially since you're selling these guns to everyone, there's 3.5 million of them out there. Eventually, somebody's going to look at a 320 FCU, and like I've owned one 320. I've shot a couple. If you told me, oh yeah, if you put this part in your gun, like it's gonna cause this issue, I'd be like, that looks the exact same as the other one. You have to be a 320 guy. You have to know these ins and outs and specifics, and none of this is clear. And to my summation, or my theory, let's say, where is the up close one? I guess I don't have that one. But my theory is that SIG knew about this issue, which is why they went to a 1-for-1 quality control check, is because again, this is a alleged theory, is that some of them might have gone out with the wrong FCU installed from the factory.
Installed in the 1045. Ouch. If you're in the takedown position, obviously you can't put it in a mag. You remove it from the takedown position, and you do a proper reassembly, dropping it out of the takedown. You still cannot insert a mag because there is too much material. The magazine will not insert into there. But that's provided you actually go and shoot your gun after you reassemble it. Now you can see we have the 10mm reassembled here, but with the 9mm fire control group. Safety check. Yep. So, as most of us do when we reassemble, we make sure the striker's still working. Problem is, unless you go through and try and insert a mag, you won't know that it is impossible to fit and you have the wrong fire control group in here. Otherwise, from all exterior and functional checks, this looks functional. It is not. Now to the 9mm side. We have the 10mm fire control group and a 9mm frame here. As you can see, we are still in the takedown position. I'm going to hold down the slide stop just so it doesn't deactivate this. You notice how we're still in the takedown position and I have inserted a magazine.
So again, they are in the takedown position. The sear is down, out of the way, but because it is the wrong FCU, you are able to insert a magazine, which should not be possible with the correct takedown safety. However, with the improper takedown safety, you can insert a mag with the sear still in the down position.
Should not be possible, but because the 1045 frame fire control unit / takedown safety lever is in here, you are able to fully insert a loaded magazine when the gun should never be able to accept it. If in reassembly, you were to flip that back forward in this position without using the slide stop, you still have that safety engaged that should prevent the magazine from being inserted into the gun.
So again, if you are not familiar with P320s, you just look at that. Looks right, looks functional, looks perfect. However, the sear is stuck in the downward position currently. And this just looks like any other 320. It's from the exterior, looks perfectly fine. And even when he test fires it, it might even feel kind of normal if you don't know what you're looking for.
And because the slide is forward, even though it's an empty mag, it will not lift the slide stop enough to knock it out of the takedown position. So the sear is still locked in the downward safety position, but notice how it just went wacky there?
Yeah, it just went a little wacky there. Because again, that sear is in the downward position. So there is almost no contact whatsoever.
It just turned into the B320 binary.
Binary 320. Well, it's going to go binary in a few minutes. Again, this is a long video. I watched it on 1.5x speed. So if you want me to speed it up a little bit, so
Yeah,
juicy stuff, because it's a little slow. No problem with LFD. Fantastic job. Very thorough. 25 minutes. Everything that you need. Check it out. Still pinned in the chat. Go give them a subscribe. They deserve it. In fact, if you want to go super chat to them. Leave them a super thanks because they deserve it.
absolutely.
We're getting sear engagement and a dead trigger. So this is functional. It should never be functional. And it is barely functional. But let's take this out to the range and prove whether or not it works in both the takedown location and properly when you just go put the gun back together and you're just operating it. You have proper sear engagement again because it was assembled properly. This is why it's been so hard to find out what's going wrong. We would like to thank RevTac for letting us use their range facilities to safely test this issue. So let's lock it open. Back to a safe operating status.
So again, this has the 10mm FCU. 10 and 45 are slightly different to accept the different bullets. Now, you would think a really simple design change would just make sure that the 10 and 45 wouldn't fit in a 9mm frame.
Yeah, why did they not have a little keyway on the 9mm versions that don't allow the 10mm to fit?
Correct. Just, anything like that. Because if they just fit in there perfectly fine, just a visual inspection isn't going to be enough. And again, the point of a 320 is to be modular. So somebody out there has 20 FCUs and 20 different grip modules and 20 different slides from 20 different manufacturers. And who knows what the original one was supposed, it's like memory at a certain point. Was this FCU supposed to be over there? And then if you're just looking at it, can you tell? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, that's
not a great plan.
This should have been addressed at the factory. The fact that they're that close.
2014. Hey, it's Hal from Callaway Ballistics. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're not carrying a 320 right now, sir. But at least now Sig won't be blaming it on ammunition. That is Callaway Ballistics. You guys should go check them out. Todd and Dogs for $2. Trench is the burn down boy and signal lover that we need. Thank you very much, Todd and Dogs, for the $2 for continuing to attempt to get the channel taken down. Jake Zorp for $1.99 says, hey, y'all. Sorry I'm late. Had Bible study. 2 Corinthians 12. Well, excellent selection, and I hope you had a great time, sir. Thanks for being here. Bulge Deep in Vagina for $9.99 says, how smug is Ian, the trammy lover, going to be after this live stream? Well, you know, I mean, not to gloat, but I was right. So there's that. Hope that check works out for you, sir. Huge Ass for $4.99 says, those stealth upgrades were promised to SIG 3,000 years ago. And it's such a huge conglomeration, whatever you want to say, coagulation of issues. You have all of the different stealth upgrades and parts changes and safety voluntary upgrade fixes for different issues and all of this different stuff, not to mention that the 250 into the 320, that whole debacle, all of the different FCUs, all the different frames, all the different slides and other alterations that one can make to the P320, and not to mention the whole striker assembly relies on two very delicate, very tiny springs to operate properly. It is just a absolute engineering nightmare that should probably be abandoned. Thank you, Huge Ass, for the $4.99. Grits Taste Good for $5 says, you know what other cheap pistol has an FCU that is actually decent? The Beretta ARX A1. Beretta deserves more contracts. Total SIG death. Well, the Beretta isn't. Berettas aren't made in America, so I don't think they can win government contracts here. But I would hope that it's the sidearm of Italy anyways. They're making their own gun. It's a Beretta of some sort. I don't think I've ever shot an ARX. Have you shot an ARX, Richard?
No, sir. I have not. I have shot several Beretta products, and overall a fan, but the ARX A1, no. I do like the PX4 Storm, which is just silly.
NB Cody for $2 says, how could SIG even recover? Is there an off-ramp? It's going to be harder after this because now there is, up until this point, they've said that it's not ever been recreated on camera, and there's no way to recreate it on camera, but as they're going to show, it can be done. And this is only, to be clear, you can have problems with this video in specific elements, but this is just one possible way to get the 320 to go off with one possible combination of parts, with quite literally tens of millions of possible combinations out there, probably hundreds of millions of different parts combinations out there. Right. But thank you, Andy Cody, for the $2. How do they fix it? No idea. Lucas Botkin has been theorizing about that on Instagram, about how to fix it. And their current marketing strategy will not allow them to do that. Not possible.
Regardless of whatever the fix is, it's going to be expensive.
Correct. Well, I mean, whether it's just even reputational damages, right? Not even monetarily.
Correct.
Tac Ammo 21 for $5 says, didn't SIG say you could use a 10mm FCU in the 9mm frame, but not the other way around? You know, if somebody has documentation of that, I would be very entertained to see that. If somebody could find a statement to that effect, or an old video of SIG with somebody from them saying that you can use a 10mm FCU in a 9mm gun, I would love to see that in writing or in video format, please. That would be wonderful. Thank you for the $5.
Comes back to proper assembly. See what we got on this thing. It failed to lock open the magazine, but it did actually fire an entire mag functioning normally with a 10mm fire control group in a 9mm everything else. Here we go. At this point, we are in the takedown position locked. See what we get. That trigger.
And again, the only difference here is that you didn't use the takedown safety, or sorry, the takedown, the slide stop slide release when reassembling it, which you, if you didn't read the owner's manual, or if you're not uber familiar with P320s and you're just out on the range and you're doing different stuff, you may not do that every single time. You may not even think about it. But just that one tiny little error, because again, SIG had to design it that way to where the sear stays down so you don't have to pull the trigger. Because they did that, it is incredibly easy to just get the sear locked in the downward position.
trigger. Dead trigger.
Now, to eagle-eyed viewers out there, you might have noticed something funky just happened there.
Dead trigger.
Yep. Let's back it up
That-
a little, John, and change the speed back. We're
Well,
getting a little bit of lag.
Oh, is everyone getting lag?
Yeah, I'm getting it
I see
too.
a couple people saying it. Gosh dang it. My internet should be fantastic. All right, we'll try it at regular speed. Yeah, see, half the people are saying they're not. So I think it's your internet connection, not mine. But that allows you to see it a little bit better. They're going to do it in slow-mo. But that was, in fact, a uncommanded double from the P320.
Dead trigger.
All right, everybody, if you're getting lag, go ahead and just refresh your page. I'm going to refresh mine. I'll refresh mine if you refresh yours or something like that. Okay, we're going to start again.
Dead trigger. Dead trigger. Dead trigger. That is an empty mag. So about every other round, but it looked like it may have done a double there. So we can see here, we have the 10mm fire control unit combined with 9mm everything else. When the gun is still locked in the takedown position, so the sear E is reduced, sometimes we get striker sear engagement. Otherwise, I was just firing every other round. And we can see there from the clip at the range, we have a dangerous situation still of minimal sear contact because it doubled. That means we had 2 rounds go off.
Just slightly disconcerting.
Because the sear slipped. Again, we should not be having sear striker engagement at all, but we are having it, which means in some of these, when in the takedown position, if the gun was not assembled properly, you can get minimal sear engagement. That's probably a tolerance stacking issue. Probably not going to get all of them, but what we can do here is sometimes we can get that right there.
Just a little Maraca test and kaboom. So that appears to explain some of the minor issues when it comes to people reholstering and then the gun going off, right? Just a little bit of frame to slide movement without proper sear engagement, and it just goes boom, right? The striker just goes, bye-bye. I don't care about you. I'm going now, right?
So the P320 now doubles as is their candidate for the next generation squad automatic weapon?
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes we can get that right there. You heard that drop. That was the sear falling off. So you had the striker catch on the sear, strike back, and that little bit of wobble, just let it go. Like that. Sometimes you might get it there. A little bit of manipulation of the slide, a little bit of shaking. If you are in this dangerous position where the sear is stuck in a lowered position, the striker will go past. Now, provided you have an operational striker safety, that is the striker safety on the striker assembly, provided that is perfectly assembled and working functionally, it will not have a round go off.
Mm-hmm. So what he's saying there is that if the striker safety should catch it, right, if it's doing its job. The problem is, if you watch enough videos on the P320, we've seen them snapped, we've seen them bent, we've seen them missing, the springs have broken, which leaves them stuck in the upward position. So the striker safety should prevent these issues for a while, because the striker safety is not meant to be used every single time. Like the striker is not meant to be slamming up against that every time you pull the trigger, right? It's meant to be moved out of the way and only prevent the striker from going forward in a catastrophic malfunction of the sear. So if this happens 10, 15, 20, 35, 45, several hundred times down the road because you installed it incorrectly, and then put a couple magazines through it, eventually that striker safety, which again is not meant, it's not like a solid piece of steel. It is a little curved, stamped piece of metal that holds the striker in place. And it doesn't even hold it. It just kind of sits there, right? So with the sear issue, it can still technically do its job for a while. That's the theory anyways.
Because that is preventing the striker from moving forward. We will go and show you what happens and prove to you that, yeah, this could fire if that safety did end up malfunctioning or breaking. So it could get dirty and stick, hopefully not. But what we will also show you is how to check inside the slide whether or not that is functioning properly, so you can know whether or not your gun is safe. Honestly, this is something you should be checking all together from all beforehand. But this is what could be going wrong. There are instances where the sear is in the lower takedown position and the striker is catching. It should not be, but it can with certain combinations of parts. And if that safety is damaged, removed.
So people in the chat are asking about the safety lever because some P320s come with a manual safety. As far as I am aware, that doesn't do anything to the sear or firing pin striker, only to the trigger, if I'm correct on that. So having a trigger block would not solve the issue, which is why SIG has been kind of cagey in some of their language, why they don't just put a manual safety on all of their 320s if it would actually solve the issue, because it's, you know, possible that they knew that it would not solve the issue.
Or something else has gone wrong, like the spring has broken, so it does not return to a lowered position, you can end up with a dangerous setup on your gun.
So this is the striker assembly.
Super unsafety. That's good. Super unsafety trigger.
We've removed the striker block and its spring to replicate what would happen if this part was broken.
Yeah, sorry, huge ass for 499 says, well, I might get blown away by a twister, fellas. If I go, remember that SIG is gay and taxation is theft. Well, thank you very much for the 499 and Godspeed, good sir. Stay safe out there, homie. Rusty Shackelford for 499 says, is the M18 with manual safety immune to these issues? Not really. As long as, if I remember correctly, it's just a trigger block, which wouldn't do anything to the sear or to the firing pin assembly, right? So it wouldn't fix either of those two issues. Only the trigger issue.
Weren't there reports from the Marines of UDs with safeties engaged while holstered?
Well, so that's the thing. If you look into all of the documentation, which I know people don't have a crazy attention span, but there's almost 900 of you here now. If you go through and you watch all of Protraband's videos going through the actual documentation, there's claims of bent, broken, or missing firing pin safeties, which is this little part right here. So if this gets bent or broken or is not there from the factory, SOL. Now also, it relies on this tiny little spring right here, which also you can find pictures of this online, bent, broken, or missing. And if it's missing, then the striker safety can just get stuck in the upward position where it is not blocking the firing pin, and it's functionally worthless. It's there, but it's not doing anything. Far too crazy for $2 says IWI Masada also uses an FCU and isn't trash. You know, for me, now that I see this stuff and the way that it interacts with different frames and different parts, I am more apprehensive of FCU guns. However, that doesn't mean that every FCU gun is designed improperly. So while FCU guns are a little bit more, disconcerting for me personally, I shouldn't write all of them off just because I'm biased against, this one specifically.
Broken, missing, the spring was broken or worn out.
Hey, we got Jonathan Picone in the chat. How's it going, man? Glad to see you back.
For whatever reason, this was not functional.
We're out here.
That's very true. If you've been, it just went off again, of course. If you're here for any amount of time, the phrase "huge ass" for $4.99 says that'll be burned into your subconscious. You'll hear it when you sleep.
I hear it when I see his name in chat.
Reject FUC, return to revolver. True.
For whatever
So
reason,
this is a good question.
Mhm.
Can the M17, M18 be retrofitted to become a P250?
Well, the problem is that the P320 is not worth retrofitting. If we look at some of the documentation, allegedly, the price of these pistols is $200. Just replace them. It's
Yeah.
like the armory time, the shipping, the replacement, all of that is not worth it. The pistols aren't worth anything. They're paperweights. It's and the P250 wasn't great to begin with. So, and listen, Glocks aren't that expensive. Blue label Glocks are what, $300? So for a military contract, you don't think they could get that price down to $250 for 1 million of them? 100,000, 150,000, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
I would just get rid of it. That's what I would do.
this was not functional.
This is very true. Springs are consumable items. Relying on one that tiny to protect your manly bits is insane. So, like on a Glock, like if you ever look at the striker safety on a Glock, you have a physical block of steel in the way, and also it's oriented to where gravity keeps it in place if the spring ever fails. Kind of ingenious, right? Simple. Whereas the opposite is true with the SIG P320. You have to physically push it up and out of the way, right? Versus pushing it down.
So we're out here. As you can see there, it just did a click. And the safety that's supposed to prevent the striker from firing is no longer there. So that would be a fired round. Question is, can we actually recreate it with a round in the gun? Again, this is one of those, you don't ever try it at home because this is stupid crazy. But we're going to see if we can recreate this.
Well, so before we get to this, Ivan says Glock's program quote was $103 million more than SIG's. $103 million is like 4 320 lawsuits. It's nothing. It's a Friday afternoon.
All right. Nothing. All right. Let's see what we got here. There is no mark. That means the sear probably did not catch at all.
Yep.
We're going to see if we still are in the improper position. We're still in the improper position, which means any and all sear contact really is not supposed to be happening now, but still can.
You're also not supposed to be able to fit a magazine in, but it's because it's a 10 millimeter.
With the same exact part name as the 9.
Right. So if it's functioning as intended, you should not even be able to get a magazine in the gun with the sear in the lower position. Should not be possible. However, with the 10 millimeter /45 FCU, it is possible.
So I did the math on that. $103 million more for 3 million pistols, which they have sold thus far, is a difference of $34.33. They saved $34 a piece on these pistols by going with SIG instead of Glock. Or
Yeah, I mean,
that just broke my brain.
$100 million is money, right? And it looks like a lot, but when what's your defense budget up to? 650, 700 billion dollars. I don't know. I don't think it's that much. That man does have the dopest shirt. Every frame is a better shirt. God bless Fatter John Daly and his interest in 320s. Very true. And I talked to actually the two gentlemen behind the video. I've talked to them. And so I'm hoping to have them on the channel later this week, maybe this weekend.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to pull the trigger to reset it.
Okay.
Interesting there. I just saw the slide pop up.
Yep.
Again. So we're going to come back. This is all while playing.
Oh,
it just clicked as soon as I let it go. So, all right, let's try this again. The hardest part about this is doing it and trying to keep the pressure here where you can still see that the trigger is not being pressed at all. And about 20 minutes of futzing, never getting it to go off whenever it's loaded. Because when you put the magazine in there or a live round in there, it doesn't want to happen. It is so borderline and so rare. Again, this is specifically with the last safety disabled and in a known dangerous config. It still is not wanting to go off. It could, but it's hard to.
I don't know. I'm not sure that we're going to.
I would not be waving it around like that with a round of the chamber. I would just be like, especially knowing that it's in a dangerous position on purpose. I would be very safety conscious of that pistol. That would be the one pistol I would be very scared of.
Yeah, this is probably giving me more pucker factor than anything else.
You know, what's funny is, you know how like super lefty liberals are like really afraid of guns and just like they're scared to touch them and whatnot, and they're afraid of them going off. That's how I would be around that specific gun in that configuration. I would be like, I don't want that anywhere near me. Don't touch it. Don't point it anywhere near any human or anything of value. Just, yeah.
We might.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. We can make it snap but not go.
Yeah, I know, but it's very specific how I'm operating the slide.
And it was very smart of them to put in the overlay
Watermark.
because everybody's going to be clipping this and put it up online. I might even do it. Give them a shout out.
I think you already did. Oh,
It just went without the finger on the trigger.
Okay.
All right. So what you can tell is there are some instances where a 320, if you have the tolerances just wrong, when the sear is in the takedown position, the striker can still catch it intermittently. That's why we were able to fire off every other round.
And again, keep in mind that this is just one possible configuration and one possible avenue for the gun to go off on its own without a trigger pull. If you watch 3 P320s in a trench coat, they also had a different issue where a sear would get stuck in the lower position, so it would not have full contact with the striker. Right? They fixed that issue by just removing a part of the sear on the bottom that would make it get stuck, which is wild that your sear can just get stuck in the lower position from time to time. So it is very multifactorial, the issues. It is not a singular avenue, which makes it incredibly complex to diagnose each specific issue and example of what exactly happened. So now what we're seeing, again, as I said, you're going to see more of these happen as people figure out more ways to essentially game break the P320 and get it to go off. It's just going to happen. Johnny7M7 499 says, unrelated, I'm becoming a U.S. citizen next month after 10 years here. I want to get a 1911 in 45. What's best under 1.5K? Springfield, D. Wesson, maybe? I don't know why you'd get a 1911 in 45, but congratulations on your citizenship, I suppose. Thank you very much, John. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend a 1911 45 unless you're just trying to get the most, like, quote unquote American thing out there. Tuss the Third for 199 says, "Can we talk about this dude's swagger? This guy F's." True. Look at that man.
shirt is amazing. Can we get a zoom in on what that actually is?
Looks like Trench 8 Trench. I'm standing by that. Jonathan Glimmer Pacone for $2 says, "Not hip to the intel. What's up with Ian and Trammies?" Well, I think Ian and Tactical Girlfriend, by girlfriend I mean boyfriend, I don't know if they've done videos together, but they've been at like the same events together, so I guess that's that. And then Ian came out with a video where he had disagreements with my source, and well, that didn't work out so well. But he's welcome to his attempts and his opinions. And he kind of carried water for Sig. So the timing is just serendipitous.
Well, it was pointed out to me that he did a giveaway for a 320 with one of the, what was it? Get entered to win the $50 coffee mug.
Yeah, what is it? Fan Anthem, or was it before
Fan of them,
Anthem?
or what? It's been like
yeah.
It's been like 3 different companies over the past couple years. And it's I didn't care for it, but I was like, hey, you know what? If you want to get your money, go for it. And then I seen that he gave away a 320, and then he said he didn't really have a dog in the fight. You know.
Well, it's weird to be like, I don't have a dog in the fight. They've sent me thousands of dollars worth of handguns. I've written books on them.
I compete with it.
Been to their facility. I compete with guns that they send me. And I mean, so it's like, you know, you can just say that you like the guns. Like, you can just say that. You don't have to be, I'm perfectly unbiased.
No,
you can just say, like, I like. Here's the thing. This guy in this video, what was like the first words out of his mouth when he's actually at the benches? I love SIGs. I love the 320s. I love how modular they are. That modularity, if not designed properly, got some issues.
And here's the thing. Before the 320 issues and the cross issues and all of that, I have pre-Cohen SIGs. Right? I have a couple of US made. I have a couple of German made. I love them. The 226, I shoot the crap out of it, and my neighbor has a 229. I love them both. A few other SIGs. I like the SIG optics. I do not care for the way that they have handled any of this. I do not care for the way that they handled the cross. At first, it was a similar thing. Oh, it wasn't happening, and then luckily Nut and Fancy got it to happen on camera, high definition.
Well, right, that's the thing too. Is back then, if you had said like, oh, hey, the cross goes off on its own, SIG would say the exact same thing. Unfounded rumors of it going off are just not possible. Too bad Nut and Fancy uploaded a video of it going off on camera. And the same thing is going to happen with the P320 and all the doubters.
We will still have people in the comments,
of course,
stating that this isn't an issue.
Of course.
Even on this video, we will have people in the comments stating it's not an issue. And I just, when I see the guys who are in every single video commenting the same thing, I really legitimately just have one question. How many P320s do you have?
Well, right. What is your total investment in the SIG platform?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, people defend their purchases. It's just like anything. PSA, SIG, Knights, Geisley, LaRue, whatever it happens to be, people defend their purchases. Todd and Dogs for $2 says, this guy is a hero and Trench is still gay AF. Takamo 21 for $2 says, Carl, not Ian. Well, Carl is verifiably into strange things, shall we say. Far Too Crazy for $2 says, High Point is greater than SIG. High Point is less likely to UD at this current point in time from all the evidence we've seen. So much more likely to be found in police crime scenes, but not going to UD.
I will say this: the one UD that I had was a High Point C9. The
Interesting.
striker had bent and lodged itself through the breech face
Oh, okay.
just enough that when you rack it, the
Yeah.
sear would not catch and put enough force on it, and it would stay stuck forward.
Right. And so it'd be an open
And
bolt gun.
yes, it ran
Yep.
through.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, so it happened at the range, and I came home and I was
Mhm.
messing with it and trying to get it to do its thing. And I had what I was told was a dud round because the primer had already been dimpled on it, and it turned out to not be a dud round, and it put a hole into the nearby chair and lamp. It was wonderful.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yikes.
Yeah. Yep. Now I exclusively get ones that have the holes drilled to the side, so can't have that problem no more.
Mm.
But I
All right.
in High Point's defense, I contacted them. They said, "Oh no, that's not good," and they sent me everything but a new slide and new frame and barrel because those are the parts that are pinned on and serialized. Everything else, every other spring, every other moving piece inside of there, they sent me new, including a magazine. Didn't cost me a dime. They immediately fixed the issue.
Small Arms Solution Mark for 499 says Small Arms Solutions has a worthy view on the SIG M17, worth the watch as to how and why SIG won, quote unquote, the contract for the military. Yeah. I mean, the rumors around how SIG gets contracts for years has been funny to say the least. Ike Watts for $5 says Beretta had a contract with the U.S. for the M92 before SIG. I guess that is true. So I guess it doesn't matter where the guns are manufactured.
Well, I
Be
think
using
that
US military, right?
I think the 92s weren't they made in Tennessee? I have to check
Okay,
that.
so it was Beretta, but then just made in the U.S.
Yeah, Beretta US.
Maybe that's how it works. So yeah, as long as they're made in the U.S., then it wouldn't matter much. I thank you for the $5, sir. Tuss the Third for $1.99 says, "Wait, does Tacticon girlfriend have a PNAR?" Yes, yes, indeed. So that's no woman. Thank you.
Around at the range, and we were able to have it actually accidentally double. So it caught the sear enough to get enough energy to set off a round, but did not have. But well, it did not stay there until it fully cycled. It slipped off, firing a second round. Very unsafe. Do not suggest. But that is the sear being stuck in the downward location. You may or may not get striker contact, causing this issue. As long as your trigger pull safety on the striker to prevent it from going home until the trigger is fully pulled, as long as that safety is working, you're fine. If that safety ever breaks and you're in this bad condition, it can go off like you saw there. When you're loading around, something else. Again, you see a 320 that's working intermittently, check the sear engagement. Make sure the sears are engaging properly. Send the gun off. Again, you have multiple safeties failing in order for this to occur. The problem is it is not totally implausible. Let's say you go out, you buy a used gun, and somebody who had multiple 320s accidentally put the wrong fire control unit back in there, and your tolerances stack up just right, and you don't reassemble the gun properly using the slide stop. That could happen. So just in just a moment, we will show you how to check your slides to make sure that your sear block is working properly. So it will.
And the rest of the video is just them going over how to check to make sure your striker safety is working properly, what to look for, various different things. The point being that the 10/45 takedown safety, or just FCU entirely, if installed into the wrong frame, can reduce sear contact to the point where, in theory, given the wrong combination of parts, which is part of the draw of the 320 is its modularity, can go off on its own at times. Lovely. So excellent work to LFD Research. Go ahead and head over to them and subscribe. The video is linked in the top of chat. You should absolutely go give it a watch. You should absolutely subscribe, and hopefully we will have the two gentlemen behind it. One of them is a engineer, I believe, if I read that message correctly. Yes, he is. And so we will hopefully have them on later this week to discuss it in more detail. So let's move on from the SIG topic. I know that SIG fatigue is real, and so I know lots of people in the chat were asking us to move on to different things, but we got a lot to talk about today, and we're probably not even going to get to all of it. I apologize. Thus the third for 199 says, I'm over these trans gun bunnies. Fool me 14 times, shame on you. You know, eventually you'll learn. It's hard. All right, here we go. Now, you're familiar with the ACR, aren't you, Richard?
Yes, sir. I am, and I think that it's a love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I love the aesthetics. I love the platform. I hate using it. I've shot precisely 2 different ones, and they both ran completely different. There was almost no similarities between the feel of them, and I was disappointed.
Correct. Jonathan Glimmer Pacone has the correct answer. It is the best weapon in Modern Warfare 2. I was actually playing Modern Warfare 2, some of the Spec Ops this week, not realizing that I was going to be talking about the ACR this week. Personally, I've owned 4 of them. The 300 Blackout, 18-inch DMR, 16-inch, 14.5, 11.5. I had a lot of the different barrel lengths combos that you could buy. I never had the 450 Bushmaster or 6.8 SPC ones, as those were pretty hard to come by. But the Bushmaster never lived up to the hype. It was way too heavy. It underperformed, never had the modularity. It shot like garbage. It was mismanaged by everybody. It was originally the Magpul Masada, then the Remington Defense ACR, and then they handed the project off to Bushmaster, and Bushmaster never fully supported it. It was way more expensive and heavy and not particularly reliable, not particularly accurate, kind of like the PSA Jackal, so it just kind of went to the wayside. Now, Bushmaster today, they announced that or maybe it was yesterday, but they announced that the ACR is coming back. And I believe this price is a typo, but this is currently up on their website. Add to cart for the low cost of $54,000.
Wow.
Richard, would you like to be the brand new owner of a $54,000 ACR?
What I want to know is, are they being made overseas, and will Mac be importing them for sale on Gunbroker? That's my question. What will the market
guess? Yeah, BL421 says, taking out a loan for my ACR. Very true. Very true. Very, very true. So now this version that they put up on the website, this is the 18-inch 450 Bushmaster version with the short key mod handguard. Why they selected this image to put on the page, I have no idea why. I think, and this is not a hot take, that Bushmaster is completely incompetent. So they're going to bring it back, and it's probably going to be $3,000 to $5,000. And they're not going to update it in any meaningful way. They're just going to slap together, the parts files that they had from a decade ago and put them back out for double or triple the cost. That's my guess. Yeah, well, this image, this is straight from their website like 8 or 9 years ago. They just pulled Bushmaster ACR PNG from their old files and put it up on the website a couple days ago. Like, this is an ACR. And some intern was like, oh, you want the ACR up there? Yeah, I put it up there. And they're like, well, which one did you put up there? It's like, what do you mean, which one? It's like, well, that's not the one that we're actually going to sell, you incompetent moron. And why we made the ACR, Bushmaster Firearms recognizes the current market demand for the ACR platform and intends to reintroduce it to our catalog with all promised accessories and options. Press X to doubt. I will believe that when I see it. We understand and appreciate the feedback from our loyal customers and want to ensure a reliable, innovative platform. Although we do not have a specific time frame for the re-release, we will keep you updated through our newsletter. Now, the last 2 SHOT Shows that I attended, I did ask them both years, and they said no comment on it. So I would not expect a real ACR anytime soon. Additionally, well, no, listen to the part. Additionally, please note that the ACR pictured for sale is in new condition from old Remington stock. So our newsletter by providing your email in the designated box at the bottom of our website to stay informed about ACR news. So you can, in fact, add this product from the early 2010s to your cart right now for $54,000. No, you can add this to cart right now. It's real. It's real. Now, which version is it? No idea. I don't know if this image is representative of the actual gun that you're going to get, because this is not a Remington ACR. This is a Bushmaster ACR. The old Remington ACR, it had, if we talk about the Remington Defense one specifically, it had a different handguard that was bolted on in multiple places, so it didn't have the removable barrel. It had a magnesium lower, which was even lighter, and it had a few other changes to it. So if you can get Remington Defense ACR parts, they are brutally expensive. Not $54,000 expensive, but brutally expensive. In fact, I could probably just show it to you. Remington Defense ACR. Can I show? Where's the original? I want to see the original video. No, not the ACR. Come on, show me the original one. That's
I want Bushmaster to bring back the arm pistol.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No, that they showed it off at SHOT Show. Like they were talking about bringing one back. Now, whether or not it'll ever happen, I don't know. But there's a large chunk of change there if they ever do, because the parts kits for them are ridiculous.
Well, here's the come on. Here is the ACR Remington ACR. So this is the Remington Defense model. So it has a completely different handgun. This is a PDW model and probably full auto in beautiful 2010 technology. And the sad thing is, the original Remington Defense guns were better than the Bushmaster. They're actually set up properly. Too bad, what never was, the greatest gun from 2008, set to return for 10 times the price. Now, again, when they actually come to market with the new models, probably $2,500 minimum, realistically $3,000 to $5,000. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that they just tacked on an extra zero. They meant to be 5,400, which is still ridiculous.
That's still ridiculous. But yeah, it is. This is, as they say, current product, add to cart, gift wrapping, options available. What happens if I click this button? Yikers. Can I get this on a payment plan? Can I finance?
Cordova will give you a low interest rate of 14.9%.
Next, we're going to talk about the Shill show. But before we get to that, Mace fell out the window for $2. Says, did your ACR have a baby monitor on it, though? Yeah, with the heartbeat monitor. Best accessory in, what was that mission? The second game, or the second mission of the Modern Warfare 2. Forget what it was called. Great mission, though. Fantastic. Noob Actual for $4.99 says, I have lots of AAC ammo and am concerned about the latest report. Any recommendations for ammo, specifically Hornady Frontier? Just buy Hornady Frontier. Yeah, Hornady Frontier is hot ammo. It's 50 cents or less a round. I mean, I think you can find it for probably 40 to 45 cents a round, and it's hot. It's loaded well. I use Fiocchi Range Dynamics, the brown and white box, and that's hot ammo. And I can pick it up locally for 45 cents a round.
I picked up the 75 grain OTMs for $14 a box. Right.
Yeah, so for me, 77 grain is a meme unless
No,
I'm
the
shooting out to
75.
700 yards. Well,
The
whatever it is, the heavier grain stuff. If I'm not shooting out to 600 or 700 yards, it's a meme. I don't actually need it.
I
I
used
don't.
it on hogs before I started
Yeah.
using the 70 grain solid copper barns.
Yeah, there are applications
those are-
for it for sure, but for most people, if you're just shooting to shoot, like it's
Well,
you don't need that the heavier for caliber ammo.
not to derail, but the guy that I was going out with was worried that 55 grain 223 wasn't gonna. It might not take it down because I was going to be shooting 75 to 80 plus yards. He was worried that if you hit it high enough, it's called the shield on the back, which is just solid hard fat. He said it's caused him to deflect before, which is why he recommends 30 caliber or bigger. And I said, yeah. So I got some 75 OTMs, and then I went with 70 grain solid coppers, and it didn't really make much of a difference when I shot it in the ear, but
Yeah, at that point, shot placement is always king.
yeah.
McLeod 2486 for $5 says price is probably a placeholder, and ACR only failed because Bushmaster, Remington, etc. didn't throw enough stripper parties for generals. Sig learned. Indeed, they did. Janelle for $5 says, and it shoots the unique 5.56 by 45 NATO caliber. Yes, very true. Very innovative 2008 text. And I would like to say that that's a typo, but I did add it to my cart for $54,000. So we'll see if they accept. Mark for $4.99 says, I only had a weekend of experience with one several years ago during a training, but I never got why the Robinson XCR never took off. It seemed great. If I remember correctly, aren't those made in Canada and then imported into the US? Robinson Arms. They seem like cool guns. They have a lot of different models and parts and unique things about them. But again, they kind of run into the same issue. They're expensive. And it's like, do they do anything special that a regular AR-15 doesn't do? It's like, no. And then they don't have any military support. So like people can go out and buy a Bren 2 or a Bren 3 because it has real world, militaries that are using it. And that kind of gives it a cool factor. The Robinson Arms XCR is just a cool gun. It's literally just a cool gun. And if you're going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on just a cool gun, I can understand why it wouldn't pop off the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, are they made in Utah? I thought Robinson Arms was Canadian, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's some other gun that I'm thinking about. Alrighty, but I know this one. This is the exciting one that you guys were really. This is what you guys wanted. 2024, 2025 hasn't been the greatest year so far, but you guys need a pick-me-up, and none other than Military Arms Channel, Tim Harmson, funny name, are here to deliver the entertainment that you need with American Stories Entertainment presents The Adventure Begins. Come on, get to the title. Wild Shots with Tim Harmson, Mike, Mr. Guns and Gear, Eric, Iraq Veteran 1488, Don, Double-Aught Such, David, 22 Plinkster. Now, if you notice, this is such a funny image to me because Tim's image is an obvious crop from something else, and he's in half the quality of everybody else, and they didn't color correct anyone, so they all look terribly different. This looks like a thumbnail I would put together as a meme, not somebody that actually got paid to put this together.
Yeah, I was gonna say this looks like something that I would do in 20 minutes, and I'm horrible at it.
Very, very funny. So
but I do it just as a laugh. I can't believe they paid for this.
Somebody did, and this is like the OGs of GunTube, I guess. Now again, I like Mike. I met Mike, nice guy, and he's pretty based on a lot of things. 22 Plinkster, just kind of a trick shooter, good shooter in general. And then you got
I like him because he's wholesome.
Correct. And then you got 1488, which is wholesome in a different way. You got Such, which is he just loves everything. Anybody that pays him, he loves. And then Tim, much the same way. He's top billing, but the lowest quality PNG they could find of him. Military Arms, one day ago on Instagram. We have a new TV show we're currently filming. Stay tuned for more info. It's set to air around the first week of September. This is the infinite content glitch, where they give us weekly episodes to review, which is going to be amazing. So I appreciate whatever wacky stuff that they end up getting to. I appreciate it. I applaud this. We need more of this. Give me an episode a week for 24 weeks for 5 seasons, and just make them do wacky things, please.
Basically Top Shot, but more YouTube-y.
Top Shot, but with shilling for products. Because listen, you get these 5 guys together, you charge 30 to 60 grand for an ad spot, a couple ad spots an episode, and there you go. You'll get views, you'll get your sponsor money. If they sign up for a service, they'll get some signups. I don't know what platform this is going to be on, but I think it will make money for them.
They didn't say anything at all about the platform or where it's going to be hosted or any of that.
Well, I haven't even looked at this. Somebody said who owns American Stories Entertainment. I have to look them up. It doesn't even sound real. American Stories Entertainment. All right. Let's see. Watch on the web or download American Stories app to watch live and on-demand shows. Let's see. The Surviving Man, Boom America, Country Ball, Farm Hero, Surviving Man, The Aftermath? What? Surviving Man. It's just a bunch of women? That's fun. The Mission, Surviving Man, All-Stars? No HUD Life? Beyond the Close, This Week in High School Football, On Target. Okay, there's one gun thing. Blue Valor, Like a Train. I don't even know what this is supposed to be.
What's the investment tab?
Oh, this is good. Look at this. Look at this. The shows described above are in various stages of planning and production. There is no guarantee that any of the shows above will be broadcast due to potential events that are out of control of American Stories Entertainment, such as events related to industry dynamic, acts of God, and the like. Invest. Are you interested in investing? No. Oh, dear. Fill out the tab. So if you guys want to invest,
investment
American
projects
Stories
that
Network,
might not go anywhere.
Advertising, please give us money, I guess. This is so good. The website's not even finished. Some places where our shows appear. Oh, okay, there it is. I was gonna say it was either broken or just gone. That's funny.
I think it's just your internet.
But look at this. It just
bit.
says internet. It's like Xfinity. This is where you can find our shows online. Xfinity, Comcast, DirecTV. Okay.
Yeah, those are all just
annual reports.
Providers.
All right, what do we got? Dundon, Florida. Director officers, Robert Safile, 20%. High Caliber Studios, Quadrant Sales and Marketing.
High Caliber.
They generated $1 million in revenues from advertising sales, up from 770,000.
Why does that sound familiar?
I don't know. HKS. Total assets $3 million. Total liabilities $37,000. Equity $2.9 million. Okay, so they're throwing around some cash. Interesting, but yeah, they are going to bring you the Wild Shots TV show. Very exciting. Let's see. Does the winner get a stolen M91 for $10,000, Tim?
High Caliber Studios was Big Daddy Unlimited.
No way. You're kidding me. Is it really? Can you send me the link for that?
High Caliber Studios was a member of let me see. Oh, it's a dead link now.
Can you just copy the search that you gave me?
Yeah, hold on.
That's amazing. So I'll read some of these comments off. Just a good graphic design is my passion. Yes, very true. I can't wait to not watch this. Amazing. The graphic designer at home. Coming to your local Shill TV channel, brought to you by SIG, Bud's Gun Shop, and AAC Ammo. Very true. Shocked Hollywood executives didn't pick up the show, especially with all the ties to SIG and IWI. True. Shill TV, true. No Highcock. You had me till I saw Such. Very funny. Sponsored by SIG? Question mark. Should have just kept it on YouTube. Also true. More like backshots, grifters, in the gun world. Ouch. A bunch of perverts making a flop together is wild. That is funny.
Let's see.
Cinema. Is this where you throw soybeans at SIG execs? That would be funny. Why is this so gay? Yeah, so that is going to be the greatest content farm of all time. Brought to you by Big Daddy Unlimited Reborn. Now, what was the Big Daddy Unlimited are the co-founders, apparently. Wild Shots gay DVD cover. That's kind of what it looks like. It looks like what's the guy's name? Can't walk anymore. Steven Seagal. Looks like a Steven Seagal movie, straight to DVD.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it takes you. It's a dead link, but it takes you.
Did you just send me the thing for it?
Yeah, I sent you the search and the screenshot for the Vimeo account.
Oh, where did you put it? Oh, you put it in Discord.
Yeah.
Well, let me grab that real fast. Copy link. Interesting. That is so funny.
Yeah. I knew that name sounded familiar.
Caliber Studios, High Caliber Line. Big Daddy Unlimited. So yeah, here we are. So from Vimeo, High Caliber Studios. Okay. Vimeo.com _ or greater than Big Daddy Unlimited. Interesting.
And then you try to click on it and it's just dead.
Right.
So I
interesting.
I bet if I go back through the rare breed lawsuit, the High Caliber was probably named in that because they were affiliated.
Possible.
With, I think that's probably where I heard it from before. I knew it sounded familiar.
Tuss the Third for 199 says must not watch TV. Very true. Now, moving on, SIG was actually in the news again for a totally different reason. However, they made the video private. Let me post that there. There's that. Who were these guys? This was CBS Colorado. Let me see if I can find a different link for this because they actually hid the video. Made it completely private. CBS Colorado SIG P320. Well, that's funny. I pulled this up, and instead of the video I was looking for, I see two more unintentional discharge videos on the P320, which is funny. Actually, I never saw this from Warrior Poet Society. Is he still talking about the SIG?
I didn't see this one either.
The SIG 320, recently the subject of so much controversy and so much internet drama, a lot of people thinking it's absolutely done. Like, should this gun just disappear? Or should you triple down and pimp it out in the most absurd way? Look at this thing. It feels like a 1911, like it just really heavy. If it doesn't work, you could always beat someone with it, which is great. And if you dropped it, don't do that. Where do you weigh in on the SIG 320 drama? And what do you think of this gun? Is this a ring and a
Oh, okay, so it's just like a conversation piece. It's not an actual video. All right. Noob Actual for 199 says, yeah, just worried about Spilody rounds. Well, that used to be the narrative. Remember, it used to be the ammo was the issue with the P320s. And then it got changed to the holsters and the individuals and the seat belts and keys and all sorts of fun stuff. Now, to give you the lowdown on what the video was supposed to be, so it was essentially a Colorado man was accused of shooting a trespasser, a kid trying to get onto his property or something like that. But he did not blame. He said that the gun went off on its own and he didn't pull the trigger. Now, that is obviously very suspicious. It's like, sure, you're totally not just trying to cover, CYA here. And it had a really good video with his lawyers, but for some reason, just before the stream, CBS Colorado took the video down, made it private. So can't really talk about that because I have a screenshot of it, but that's it. So let me see if I can find if they have a non-video article of it. Let me see. What was the title of that video?
Defense for Colorado man accused of shooting teenager says gun to blame.
All right. Will they have that up there? Okay, so you can kind of see it here, but this video is going to be a dead link, unfortunately. Published 2 days ago, defense for Colorado man accused of shooting teenager says gun to blame. So shooting a 17-year-old in the face last September, plans to put the onus on the weapon used. But again, if I pull this up, it's just a dead link because they took it down. And they don't appear. He's back at work. Teen suspect, no. So it looks like, I don't really see an article for it either. That's disappointing. So we can't talk about that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good idea.
What's that?
Mr. Johnny Moo 1 says, I propose we invest in the channel by bidding over a dollar amount of what we want Richard's photo to be every week.
Like your photo, like your PFP?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I got punished with the Miku.
Oh, that's true. The based Miku. That would be funny. Actually, we could do something like that, as long as it's within TOS.
There's
I mean, we
stuff that flies on YouTube for TOS for profile pics.
We already played Yee's new song on here, so I don't know how much worse we could get than that. Redneck Sniper for $4.99 says, finally got to shoot my ACR in 300 black. The 220 grain subs are amazing. Zero gas in the face. Only paid $2,500 for my ACR, not $54K. Yeah, I bought my first ACR back in like 2017, 2018 when they were on basically discontinued. And I got a DMR version, which is the 18-inch heavy version, for $1,200, brand new. And then very quickly they doubled and tripled in price because they were no longer manufactured. It's very unfortunate. Saboteur, if you go back to the beginning, you will hear a rendition of Ye's new song. So it is there. Vim. That's funny. Okay. Well, we could go over my sectionals performance, which was not particularly good. But that is something that we should probably talk about. Unless you have something else that you want to get to before then.
No, let's go ahead and roll on with that.
Okay. Your channel, go here. Oh. Okay, here we go. So,
Are you ready?
Yeah, let me pull this up here. So last Saturday was section championships, the Great Plains sectional championships that I attended. I shot on Saturday, which was kind of the staff shoot. So there's only about 50, 60 shooters on the first day and then 100 plus on the second day, which was like the big day. Going over my, what? No, unbelievable. Oh, well,
Jesus.
I mean, oh, that's funny. Yeah, Jonathan says, has Safariland said anything about the SIG comments about their holsters being the cause? I have not seen anything from Safariland directly. They are being very professional about it. However, again, Lucas Botkin, T-Rex Arms, said that if they blamed him for the holsters, he would have a different statement in mind. So, yeah, they're being very professional and not saying that that's BS. But you
Lucas
know,
is in the chat right now.
Is Lucas in the chat?
Indeed he is.
Where is he? Why don't I see him? I know Lucas lurks from time to time, but he usually doesn't comment.
Or I've seen him. There he is, right there.
Oh, sure. Oh, that is Lucas Bakken. That's his. Oh, I was looking for the T-Rex Arm account. Yeah, he says, I trust my product. I don't trust P320s. Yeah. Safariland is being very professional by not, having a clap back. But before we get into anything else, we can go ahead and talk about this. This is, we'll just go through my stages so you can see how bad I did. Now, before we get going, there was one stage so bad that I lost 30 places. I think there's one stage so bad that I lost, I think, 30 places. I did the math on it. It was roughly 30 places for one stage. And I finished 55th out of 167. But it was almost a really good finish. Or better finish, I should say. So here is stage number 3, I think.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
Now that is a USPSA short stage. I had one makeup shot on the tuxedo target, which tuxedo targets absolutely ruined my day. I think I did it in about 5.5 seconds. The fastest time was 4.5 seconds. My problem here was I just didn't move fast enough to get to this target. So the shooting doesn't really matter that much. It's basically the entire stage is walk backwards until you can see this target. The faster you can do that and pull the trigger, that's great. But if you are done engaging these targets and you can't see this one, you didn't walk fast enough. So I just didn't walk fast enough.
You're finished. Are you ready?
Now this is like 3A and 3B basically because they were both two short stages put in the same bay. This one I cleared, but my positioning wasn't perfect. So you'll see in just a second.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
So you can see I shot really slow on the first set of targets, and you're supposed to shoot through these little gaps. And then my positioning was bad, so I kind of had to go back. So I did this in like 7 seconds, and the fastest time was like 5 seconds because you're supposed to just get into position 1, 2, 3, 4, 2-step 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Very quick, very efficient. I just wasn't efficient at all, and I got to the wrong spot, and then I shot slow. So I did both things bad.
You're finished. Unloading. So clear. Clear. Hammer down.
This was another stage error, which sucked, which we'll talk about in just a second, even though I shot it clean, but I shot the stage incorrectly.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
So again, I shot clean, just fine, 12 seconds, no issues there, but I shot everything backwards. You should start on the steel on the right so that it activates the swinger by the time you've cleared the plate rack. So my time was 12 seconds. Corn dogs are delicious. Suck it. That's true. So you can see I cleaned the steel, but I'm just staring at the target, waiting for it to look at me, basically, because I activated them in the wrong order, and it cost me 3 to 5 seconds on this stage. Whatever, you can get all. Logan's actually a really good shooter. Logan had a big competition this weekend as well. He did much better than I did. Yeah, I shot both of them backwards. Again, I did not hit the activator on this one. That should be the first shot that you do. Then you take the steel, the open paper. As soon as the targets expose themselves, then you engage them. I just did everything backwards on this stage. The fastest time on this stage was like 6 seconds. And I did it in 12. So it was bad.
You're finished. Unloading. Show clear. If clear, hammer down and holster.
Okay, now this stage, a little bit of explaining. This is a timed stage. So there is a par time of 6 seconds. there are 10 targets. Everything is a no penalty miss. So there is no penalty for not fully engaging every target because you only have 6 seconds to engage all the targets. So there's 100 points possible, and whatever you get is whatever you get. If you shoot after the 6 seconds, it's a procedural, which is a -10 penalty. So as soon as you hear that beep, you cannot shoot anymore. So you'll see that I almost cleaned the stage, going basically as fast as I could with one little bobble. But yeah, it's a part-time stage, which I actually enjoyed. I enjoyed this one a lot because it was just go as fast as possible.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
And you can see I almost got to the last target. Oops, shoot. My plan was to... Oh, shoot, I lost it. My plan was to engage the close targets first so that I could immediately transition to the inside and just start making up points. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is I tripped and I went too far and had to balance before I could shoot. If I hadn't done that, I could have successfully engaged the last target. Now, yes, that is a wild swing to do at the end, and you're basically at 180, but that's the way they designed the stage. That's not my fault.
So focus tripped.
Focus tripped. Well, you're going to see me trip basically twice in 2 more stages, I want to say. But so my score on this stage was 73 points, which was the highest in my squad. But the best score on this was 84. So nobody cleaned it, but there were a couple people that did manage to fully engage all the targets. So again, if I had run it clean, I probably could have been in that 80 range as well. But, you know, not quite there.
You're finished. Load and show clear. If clear, hammer down and holster.
Okay, now this one is a John error because I simply lost the actual footage for it. So this is just the walkthrough of it. But this was a fun stage. Engage the steel, engage the papers, 3 different positions, and then do a reload and clean up everything else. Right? Fun little stage. I actually did really well on this. I think so. Out of all the stages, out of the 11 stages, I took 11th or better on 5 of them. So I did pretty good. Like if I was really engaged and really doing everything perfectly, a top 10 finish was possible for me, but that's just not what ended up happening. But I did do pretty good on 5 of the stages. Unfortunately, that good stage was one that I did not get recording of.
Ready? Yes, sir.
Stand by.
So everything kind of went wrong there from the beginning. I think this one here is one that I ended up taking like 60th overall, just because you're supposed to be moving and engage these two as you're getting down here. But unfortunately, I went to the wrong position, just the completely wrong spot, and I had to remove to engage the steel. So I just simply walked to the wrong spot. Didn't pick the right spot to walk to, which meant that I was slower. Now you can see that I ran as fast as I could because the fastest way to clear this stage is to get to the walkway and engage the swinger, which is an open swinger with 2 rounds, and just leave it there. But unfortunately, I shot 2 at it, but I knew I did not hit 2 on paper. I put 2 rounds towards it, but I had 0% confidence that I actually cleared that target, so I had to re-engage it after I cleaned the other side. And then, of course, ran out of ammo, had to do a reload, and that added like 3 seconds, 4 seconds to my overall time. So just a rough stage execution.
Finish the load to show clear. If clear, slide forward, hammer down. All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
Okay. Richard, this is a 3-shot per target stage. Guess how many misses I had on this stage?
How many targets total?
So what I did there at the end was I had 5. I had 5 mics on that stage. So it was the tuxedo targets and some of the hardcover targets and the close one on the right, where I have this really terrible tendency, and I know that I do this, and this is something that I really need to work on, is I drag off the targets, especially 3 rounds. So it was like Alpha Charlie Mike, or on the tuxedo it'd be like Alpha Alpha Mike, right? Because I'm already moving the gun off the target as I'm moving. So while I had a really good time for that stage, my hits were so bad because like on this tuxedo target, it was like Alpha Alpha Mike just off into the hardcover. And I think I had 3 hardcover mics and then 2 regular mics where I'm just dragging the gun off target, which I'm doing really good on the steel. I only have like maybe 1 makeup shot on steel. So I'm almost going 1 for 1 on all the steel, but I'm just dragging the gun off way too early. So I'm not actually finishing the target and moving on. And this, where I usually don't shoot 3 rounds specifically per target, I just performed horribly. So because of that, I think out of 167 shooters, I ended up taking 151st on this stage with like 24 points or something like that. John and Logan having a drag off? Well, yeah, something like that. But I would definitely win because I drag way more shots off than Logan does. So it was this stage that cost me 70 points basically in terms of not only the mics, but just the not getting points for hits on this stage, which lost me like 30 positions, which was awful. Big oof. Well, so Lucas is correct. It's not going too fast. It's me making an error because I can still shoot it that fast, but I just need to actually leave the gun on target, right? Rather than dragging it off. Because a lot of people, and I get this told a lot at stages or at matches and what, it's like, oh, well, you just need to shoot slower. And slower isn't really the problem. I'm making a mistake. The speed isn't the problem. I am physically making a mistake and I am pushing the gun off target. Because if in training or just at the range, I can put 3 shots on target as fast as I want. But when I'm chaining things together, it's my brain is making an issue and I am physically causing myself to like, okay, well, I got to do this one, then this one. And so I'm going like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm just swinging the gun around rather than engage. The speed isn't the problem. My processing power is the problem, I guess you could say.
Sorry.
This was a fun stage where, unfortunately, I also make a slight stage issue.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
So there, there's a really tight corner that you have to hit of the shooting box to be able to engage all the targets. And unfortunately, I just overshot it. Now, this is an area where probably buying a set of cleats would help, but I just overshot and then had to back up into the box.
So you hit the tight box.
Correct.
Do not come.
And if you notice, there was also a slight positional issue where I kind of get stuck, where I can take the target on the left, but I didn't move fast enough to have it open up at the right time. So I kind of have to go back and forth. Okay, well, now I'm taking this one. So a couple stage issues there where I didn't come into the position good enough, phrasing, and then I didn't move fast enough to actually get that target to open up when I wanted it to. So my timing was off for it, and I got to the wrong position.
You're finished and load and show clear. If clear, hammer down and holster. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You probably can't see it, but this is 45-ish yards. There's a popper at 45 and a paper at 45. So this was like, I forget the name of the course. So something like long range fun or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
And the paper, they made you shoot through this like little tiny narrow port at like 45 yards or something, which, you know, is fine, but it was also a turtle target. So the bottom half of the target is hardcover. So it's not a difficult shot, but when you're used to going at speed and you're about to engage a bunch of targets at speed, you have to kind of control that.
Close.
Now, the reason why I laughed there is because as I drop the mag to reload, it lands ammo down into the dirt, and then with my feet, I spear it into the ground and basically shove it into the ground like a spike and almost trip over it as I'm running doing this reload. So that's why I started laughing halfway through.
Close enough.
And the fastest guys there, they wouldn't do the lean thing. They would just jump and go, basically. But for me, I wanted to actually not mic on this stage. So, because I had gotten a lot of mics up to this point. I think I ended up with like 7. So the fastest guys would just jump and just take 2 shots at it. But I did not. I think my time on the stage was 25 seconds, and the fastest was like 19, which is cooking. But if you don't take any makeup shots, if you have to do 1 less reload. Another thing with this is I had 24-round magazines, but they technically weren't USPSA legal. Even though nobody was checking magazines, I still didn't utilize them for this, which caused me to do a couple extra reloads that I normally wouldn't have to do. Not a big deal, just in the effort to actually follow the rules, I used the smaller mags.
You're finished. Unload and show clear.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
Again, the tuxedo targets are going to eat my dinner. Now, something crucial there that I did not notice, and you might not have either, but I heard the ting of the steel, thought that I knocked it down, and moved on with my day. However, the steel did not fall.
You're finished. Unload, show clear. If
And you could just see, like, this is like stage 10 throughout the day, and my brain is gone. I am not shooting well. My performance is terrible. I'm doing an average of probably 2.5 shots per target, lots of makeup shots, bad positioning, throwing shots, not comfortable with my shots, performing pretty bad at the end of the day. No, so the hit was like edge. So it was barely on the steel. Barely on the steel. So for a calibration, it has to be on, I believe it has to be a full diameter hit on the steel in the calibration zone. And also, like, it was a mini popper. It should have fallen. It was barely on steel. I heard it, didn't look because I was already on to the next thing, right? But it didn't fall. So that was a mic.
clear, hammer down.
Oh, stickers. My bad.
Are
Okay,
you ready?
Yes, sir.
This stage is wild. So watch my path on this.
Stand by.
Nope, I got it.
What
So this
happened there?
stage was designed. Well, this is how you run the stage. This stage was designed by Aaron, who is he also runs the range that I go to. And so yes, you are supposed to run around the stage, get back into the stage with the fastest path jumping through these targets, which most people ran around the targets, which is a little bit slower. I ran through the targets, and I know a couple people did get DQ'd on this. Not on this stage specifically, but I know they got DQ'd at the match. I would not be surprised if it was on this stage because this is a death trap. The RO has a way to walk through, which you're not allowed to shoot through. It's basically a wall. So the RO is not following you here. So you just run around the edge and then jump back into the shooting box to engage the rest of the targets. Yes, Aaron is based. However, this is Aaron's stage, and Aaron had 2 mics and a FTSA, failure to shoot at, on this because he forgot one of the papers.
You're finished.
It's a wild stage. It's a wild stage, but fun. There were a lot of different. This is one of the few stages where people ran it 3 or 4 different ways. Some people would run to the back, engage, and then run around the other way to finish up all the rest of the targets. But I think the fastest way is just to make one path all the way around. It's the most efficient way. It's unique. That's what I'll say. It's unique. Yeah, I'd hate to RO this. So I'll back it up for a second so you guys can see what the RO is supposed to do. So this portal here on the right, you cannot shoot through that and you cannot go through that. That is for RO purposes only. So as I run around the left side of this array, the RO simply steps through the middle and waits for me to show up, right? Because if he follows me around the stage, he's going to get shot because I'm going to jump back in and then the RO is going to be in front of me, which he can't do. So that's why they had it set up this way to where the RO could just step through the middle, but the shooter could not, and the shooter could not shoot through it. Also, that was just bad. Again, this is the last stage of the day for me, and I shot 2 at it. I didn't know if I hit it. I looked at the target, and I saw 2 holes, and I was like, okay, well, I just need to get moving. Nope, I got it. And this is another thing. I'm shooting like really slow, like way slower than I need to. I'm over confirming on everything. I'm like dot press, dot press, dot press, dot press, dot press. And these targets, especially these back targets, they're open targets. You need to just be going ba bang, ba bang, ba bang. That's how it should be done. But I guess I'm too worried at this point about acquiring more mics. And so I am being overly cautious and not just doing what I know that I can do. So it ended up being overall kind of a bad weekend as far as shooting goes. Now, I think I still ended up with 76% of total for carry optics. And there, I think it will count as a classifier because there were 3 grandmasters there that shot extremely well. And, wasn't terrible, but definitely a lot to learn. My first level 2 match. And I may never do one again because that was way too many stages in one day. I was there from like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 6 o'clock in the evening. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So, I mean, it's a bit of fatigue and a bit of my own mental hookups or hiccups, I guess you could say, because I had just gone through a stage where I knew that I bombed it. I had done so bad with 5 mics. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to, basically I told I needed to slow down and overconfirm, but I didn't need to do that. But was my solution to the problem I was having. Oh, well. Well, so I would say that it wasn't run well. However, I don't shoot on Sundays 99% of the time. And this was the staff match. So the Sunday big match where all the real competitors were at was much different, much better run. So for instance, I got there at like 8 o'clock on Saturday, but shooting didn't start until after 10:30. And there were all sorts of issues with different stages that they were fixing on the fly, basically getting ready for the big shoot on Sunday. So I can complain about little things here and there about the Saturday shoot, but I wouldn't have shot it on Sunday, and I only shot it because they had opened up the Saturday day for me. So I can't complain. Rebel Spirit Operation says, yo, what up, fellas? Yeah, big matches definitely do multiple days, but for this, there was the main, because like they didn't even have the tents or anything set up on Saturday. Saturday was mostly a staff day that they opened up because they had extra competitors, so I was able to compete on Saturday. But yeah, it's a big match for South Dakota. It's an average match for a lot of other states. So my level 2 match and your level 1 match are very different. All right, Mr. Johnny Moo for $1 says, I choose Brazilian Miku as Richard's photo this week. What is Brazilian Miku? Is that just like a black Miku or brown Miku?
No idea.
Well, let's look this up. Brazilian Miku. Am I gonna get bad images? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it is just brown Miku. Tanned Miku, I should say. Thank you for the $10 very much. I will have to make Richard do that on Wednesday. Tuss the Third for $4.99 says, when dropping loads, accuracy is crucial. My uncle taught me that. Tuss the Third, always bringing down the chat. But thank you very much. Yeah, it's one of those things, you know.
Have you ever been feasted by an African king? It'll be me.
God damn it.
Huge ass for $4.99 says, who would win in a literal peeing contest? Ugh, Lucas or Tactical Girlfriend? I did not die from that. Well, I'm glad you're back so that you can ask us this very important question. I'm gonna
pass.
I don't know how to answer that. I pass. $4.99 is not enough for me to have to read that sentence, sir. But thank you for the $4.99. I appreciate it, man. Logan sucks at shooting. Who does not suck at shooting? Logan did really good. Actually, I mean, we should have had Logan and Lance on so that we could talk about their shooting performance as well. Pull up some of their stuff. But yeah, Logan shot well. He's one of those sweaty limited optics guys. Thank you for the $10. Says, I almost forgot my live stream payment. LMAO. Well, thank you for your funding, sir. It is greatly appreciated. Logan, pick a drag queen for Richard's pick. That's funny. That's funny. Logan sucks at paying. True. All right, Richard. Do you got anything else before we get out of here, since we can't look at that article on 6 Hour?
No, just if anybody wants to go check out the match footage that's over on the second channel, Out of Focus.
Oh, well, thank you for mentioning that. Why can I just go and, because you also uploaded another video this morning, which is funny because I uploaded basically the same video.
Yeah, within an hour or two.
Yeah, on the other channel, on the Gun.Deals channel. So I will post that on there. Go ahead and check out of Focus Clips, which is the second channel where short segments of the stream will be posted for your viewing enjoyment. Instead of sitting through 2 hours of cringe, you can watch it in 10-minute increments.
Yeah, and it's actually doing pretty good. Got the notification the other day. It was the 1-year anniversary, so thank you guys for watching.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Schnitzel says, any new Garandtham stuff? Not really. I mean, we show this. His last video did not, actually his last 2 videos did not do good. 343 and 363 on the Wolverine and the Kuna. But, you know, still trucking along. No updates on that. Oh, do you want to talk about Trench? Is M26's video out yet? Did you know about this? Richard, did you know about the Trench? Okay, so here we go. Yeah, no, I got it. So, Trench Grenade, when I type in M26 Lemon Grenade, Trench Grenade's videos pop up before my stream, which is terrible. And then, hey, here's a clip with Gary in it, actually, back in the day when we had him on the live stream with us. But we have M26 in a couple videos. And then recently, Trench made a video. Where is it? Where is it? So he goes over M26's video. And he says some unkind things in the beginning of it about M26's take on 7.60 by 39 versus 5.56. M26 is a big fan of 7.60 by 39. So this video is what Trench is responding to. And then if I remember correctly, let me see if I can pull that up. So M26 responded by saying, where is it? But the video has not dropped yet, so I can't really respond to it because M26 has not put it up. This is what M26 put up on his Instagram today, saying Trench Grenade is trying to be the bad guy wrestler to get views. Avoid working with him. That is the title of M26's video that he's about to put out. And with Trench on the Nacho Libre is very funny. It's very funny. So apparently that video is supposed to come out at some point, but I do not see it. So they're having a little back and forth. But that's that. Oh, the Trench goodbye video? Well, it's not a goodbye video. It's just the state of the channel video. So I'm not looking at that. It's the same thing. All right. Redneck Sniper for 199 says, call and support hearing protection and the Short Act, the HBA. Yeah, I haven't seen any new updates about that and Silencer Central. complicated because I'm hearing different things from different people on that front. But yeah, if we could get that passed in some way, shape, or form, that would be fantastic. So go ahead and get out there and do your part, gentlemen. Thank you for the 199 Redneck Sniper.
Takes 5 minutes to make a phone call and leave a voicemail.
Yep. All righty. Well, that is it, homie. You already did our outro. For me, what do I got? Probably clip the initial section of this video, be up tomorrow or something like that. And I have a couple actual videos to finish, one on a 4-in-1 digital thermal night vision rifle scope thingamajig. And then Mr. Gunslinger did do a Saucer Central video. And then I have another one to finish up the Ruger SR556 so I can actually ship that back to its rightful owner. And yeah, that's what we got going on this week. And I'm sure for Wednesday we will come up with something fun. And in September, very important, we all have something incredibly important to look forward to, that being the mac and cheese show, as it should be titled. So that should be fun in September to get some good old-fashioned Tactic Cringe content to sit down and enjoy as Tactic Cringe connoisseurs that we are. So with all that out of the way, gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.